Thank you very much for that, Joan. I guess where you are is just a bit dark. Joan is very pretty. Anybody who works at analytics, always on point and always pretty. So Joan doesn't just have, I guess, you don't have supply currently. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, for all joining us today. So today's session would be straight to the point, all right? And we're going to do something very interesting. And at the end, we did something like this last year when we sort of predicted, what the price of Bitcoin would be sort of around the same time last year. And then looking at that video last year and comparing it to the price of Bitcoin today, surprisingly, I'm surprised myself that the price of Bitcoin is actually very close to what was predicted. Now, this session is not financial advice. Okay, that's number one. Number two, predicting the price of Bitcoin itself involves a lot of variables that you can't control. But what I'll try to do is show you some of the capabilities of Power BI and what Power BI can achieve. And like I said, we'll keep it as short as possible. I know for those in the West African region or in Africa, also in the UK, it's pretty late, but we'll have an amazing time together today. That I can guarantee you. Okay, so I'll share my screen and I'll introduce myself. I think Joan has done a pretty good job introducing me already. But let's get into the slides and let's see what we have for today. And then we can take it from there. All right, so today's session, like Joan had mentioned, is to understand how to use Power BI to do amazing stuff. Now, my assumption would be that you joined the masterclass that I held last week, Saturday. All right, so I don't want to go back into the nitty-gritty of how to download and install Power BI. Downloading and installing Power BI is very straightforward. All you have to do is go to your browser, do a search, download Power BI desktop. You'd see the download button, click on that, download and install. It's pretty straightforward, okay? What we can also do is at the end of the session, I would also show you, would send the link of the previous session on how to download and install Power BI, all right? Now, the best way to enjoy this class is for us to do it, watch what I'm doing, and support me by asking questions and by also suggesting things that you think we should consider while creating and solving this particular project. All our videos are on YouTube. Okay, all the videos are on YouTube. So if you did not get the one for last weekend for some reason, because sometimes the email would have gotten into your junk folder, maybe you didn't just see it. Go to YouTube, you'd see the videos, all the masterclasses, you'll get them there. All right. Now let's jump into what we have for today. First of all, I'll just do a quick introduction about myself, what we do at Analytics, and we'll jump into the practical session immediately. All right. So Analytics, we're an ed tech, and our mission or our focus is to help people of the Black community and Africans transition into tech, as many people as possible. Okay, and what we do by doing that is we lower the entry barrier into tech by providing you with premium training programs. Now, the only way you can compete in the global workspace is to have the right skills to compete with the best of the best out there. And what we do is to provide these programs across the different areas within the tech ecosystem, especially within the data space, from data engineering to data analytics, data science, financial analytics, and so on and so forth. One of the things we pride ourselves on are the quality of the facilitators we bring to bear. So the people, whoever would be training you, whoever would be working with you during your training would be somebody who is currently a professional, has done the job before, currently does it, and works for the best organizations across the globe. Like, our facilitators come from organizations like Apple, McKinsey, Meta, Google, Coca-Cola, and so on and so forth. The best of the best organizations across the globe. Okay, somebody is saying, what is the year of the Mac I have in? Okay, for those of you using Mac, the process of installing is not as straightforward. Okay, but what we did was to send you the steps of how to install on Mac. Okay, installing Power BI on Mac is not as straightforward as installing it on Power BI, but yes, you can install Power BI on Mac. We currently have a class of about 150 something people across Canada, the US, the UK, Nigeria, across the globe that are currently taking that data analytics class. And you have a large chunk of the people in that class using Mac. So what we do is we provide the steps, we guide you through the steps to installing your Power BI on your Mac, okay? So let's move on. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm the founder of Tenalytics, and you can see Efemena as well. Efemena is a co-founder, and together we have been able to build a business that has helped over 300 people transition from the classroom into tech. Okay, and that's one major area I'll focus on today. So all the things you've learned, some of you you've been learning data analytics for God knows how long, but how do you transition? How do you get a job? What are the things required? What do you need to put in place to help you transition? I'll talk about that a bit before the end of today's session. Okay, I'm a data analytics expert. I've worked across different sectors, around 5 sectors as a data analyst within the space of close to a decade. Years in experience. I've trained over 8,500 people across different levels and across different cadre, helping them transition into tech. Okay, that's just a brief introduction about myself. And of course, like I said, we want to manage time as much as we can. If you have questions, please send your questions to the chat. Okay, at the end, I'll allow you to unmute yourself and we can then take questions. You can unmute yourself. If you feel very compelled to speak, you can unmute yourself and then we have a conversation. Like I said, last year alone, we helped over 300 people transition into tech, get a job, moving from the classroom into getting a job in tech. And we'll talk about that further down the slides. We had a lot of features across different, the biggest dailies across the globe, online media and so on and so forth, the business day, Nairametrics. We held the largest data hackathon in Africa. We held that last year, 2022. We had 5 people that came up in that competition, and you had cash prizes as well. And we got featured in the Punch, the Business Day, Nairametrics, the Vanguard, Business Day multiple times, and of course, PR Fire in the UK as well. We got featured showing and talking about the journey, the story of how we've helped so many people transition. And of course, when you do good job, you do good stuff, people would like to know and understand what works, what has been working for you, what are you doing differently that has been helping a lot of people get into the space. And of course, like I mentioned, the focus is you want to get into an organization in the UK, for example, a big organization, and within the data team, you have an African on that team. You have somebody from the Black community working as a data analyst, for example, in that organization. So that's what we want to achieve, and that's our mission. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. We're going to build our dashboard. The recording will be made available to you. Okay, the recording will be made available to you. So at your own convenience, you can then build it. We are moving into the weekend. Today is Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, you have enough time to also build yours. As I build the dashboard, I would explain every single detail, okay? And you'll understand by the time you're watching it later, trying to build yours, you'll understand every single step I took in building mine. Now, what would look like this? We're going to build something that looks like this. And if you look at the chart at the bottom, you'd see the forecast feature. You'd see the forecasted Bitcoin price. And like I mentioned, this is not financial advice, okay? But of course, if you're interested in people, for you that would maybe trade in crypto and stuff like that, it's something you might want to look at. Okay, and how can you do this across different other coins and different other asset classes and so on? So you can also look at this as well. Okay, so what would look like this? But how do we even come up with this using Power BI? Okay, so let's see how we can get that done. Now, like I mentioned, you should have installed Power BI on your computer. My advice is not for you to follow me and try to do what I'm doing step by step, because you might miss out on a step and then you start to struggle to catch up and you miss out on a lot of very important things. So watch what I'm doing, understand the process, and then you can build it yourself. I don't know anything about Forex. I've never done that before. Okay, so let's open up our Power BI. So I've installed Power BI, I've downloaded and installed Power BI. I'll go to my search and I'll simply just type Power BI desktop. And of course, if you've installed something on your computer, you know where to find it, right? So I just type Power BI desktop and I'll click on Power BI desktop to launch my Power BI. So I just wait for it for a second to come up. Power BI is an amazing tool, fantastic tool. As a data analyst, you must know how to use Power BI. It's compulsory because it allows you to do amazing stuff. Okay. Now, when you launch Power BI for the first time, and like I said, for those of you that haven't installed, you don't know how to install, we're going to send you the link for the previous session. Okay. And you can see how to install it. From there, you'd see how to install the Power BI application on your computer. It's 100% free. You don't have to pay any money to install and use Power BI. All right. I'll close this first page because I don't need this. I'll close it. And this is what the Power BI interface looks like. Now, we want to get data of historical Bitcoin prices and use that to forecast for the future price of Bitcoin. Remember, predicting the price of Bitcoin, looking at its volatility, involves so many variables. All right. And what we are just doing is not really focusing on the price, the prediction itself, but how to utilize Power BI to help you generate insights from data. And you can take decisions based on the insights. Okay. And like I mentioned, we did this last year. And I went back to the video while I was, putting up my slides for this session. And interestingly, the forecasted price of Bitcoin when we did this Power BI stuff last year was 24,000 in February. And the price is very, very close. Today, Bitcoin closed, I think, at 23,000. So it was very, very close. But then again, it's not financial advice. We are focusing on the capacity, the capability of Power BI, as opposed to the actual price of Bitcoin. It takes a lot to predict, which is very, very difficult to do. All right, so let's start and see how we can, walk our way through getting the data, bringing it into Power BI and creating our dashboard. Now, you want to find where you get the data, right? And that's one of the things you do as a data analyst. Where does the data exist? Do I have the data? Does it exist somewhere? Do I have to create, an instrument to gather the data myself? Okay, we did that last weekend. We created a Google form. We used that to gather data. We used it to build a dashboard. But this time around, the data already exists. So we're going to go to where the data exists. We'll pull the data from there and bring it into Power BI. Okay, so I'll open up my Chrome. All right, so just open up your browser, any browser at all, preferably Google, and just search Bitcoin or Yahoo Finance. Okay, search Yahoo Finance. All right, Yahoo Finance. So if you search for Yahoo Finance, you'd see Yahoo Finance. Open up Yahoo Finance. So I'll open it in a new tab. I'll go to Yahoo Finance. And of course, this is where I can get data I would like to get on stocks, on cryptocurrencies, and stuff like that. Okay, you can get data regarding different, asset classes and all of that here on Yahoo Finance. There are so many other, resources, but we'll use Yahoo Finance for the purpose of this session. You go to the search bar. All right, when you open up Yahoo Finance, go to the search bar and search Bitcoin. Now, of course, when you search Bitcoin, you'd see different results or different, results, absolutely. Now, you'd see BTC pounds, BTC USD. We want to look at Bitcoin in dollars, okay, the price in dollars. So I'll click on BTC USD. Straightforward, BTC USD. And of course, Bitcoin is at 24,832 today as of 8:15 p.m. So it's 8:15. It's 8:18 actually. The time is 8:18. So as at 8:15, the price of Bitcoin stood at 24,832. Now, We want to get historical data, and prediction is hinged on the availability of historical data. So you've seen what happened in the past, and you want to use that to predict the future. So looking at the options you have here, we're going to select historical data. Historical data, I'll click on that. All right. And once you click on historical data, you'd see the time period and you'd see the frequency. So I'm going to pop into the chart presently on 24K. Absolutely, Isaac. Thank you very much. And like I said, interestingly, to my surprise this evening, when I checked the video of last year and I looked at what was forecasted and the price of Bitcoin, it was absolutely correct. I was shocked, to be very honest. And I'll maybe show you the snippet of that video. It was sometime around, I think, October or September last year we did that in 2022. So you click on historical data, time period, 17th of February, 2022 to 17th of February, 2023. But we want to see 5-year, historical data from 2018. So I'll come here, click on that. Okay, I'll click on the drop down and I can see 1 day, 5 days, 3 months, 6 months. I'll click on 5 years. All right, 5 year. So I'll click on that, 5Y. And of course, immediately you'd see 17th February 2018 to 17th February 2023. So 5 year worth of data. That's what we want. Now, I don't want to see it daily. Yeah, I want to see it monthly. So I'll change it from daily to monthly. So I'll come here, click on daily, and I'll select monthly. Once I've done that, I've selected 5 years, I've selected frequency to monthly, I'll click on apply. Okay, now once you click on apply, you would have filtered your data to 5 years, monthly data, and it's time to get the data. Now, if you click on download, that downloads the file for you into CSV, and you can work with that. But we don't want to go that route. I want to show you something interesting as well. You can get data online on the web, get it into Power BI in a way that whenever that website is updated with new data, guess what happens? Your dashboard is also updated. And there are several ways to do this, but I'll show you one way. So I've clicked on apply. Instead of clicking on download, I'm not going to click on download. I'll right click on download, right click on download, and I'll copy link address. Right click on download and copy link address. Okay, right click on download and copy link address. That's all I need. That's all I need, just the link. I'll go back to my Power BI. Okay, go back to Power BI. Now, at the top left corner of your Power BI, one of the first things you'll see is get data, right? So I'll click on get data, the drop down, and get data simply is a question to you. Where do you want to get your data from? I want to get my data from the web. My data exists on a website. I want to get my data from the web. So I'll go to web and I'll select web. Now, once you select web, Power BI would ask you, provide me with a link to the website, the URL. Where is this website? Give me the link. I'll go to that website and I'll pull the data you want from there. So I've copied the link. Remember when we applied, we right-clicked on download, copy link address. I'll paste it here. Right-click and paste, or just do a Control-V. I'll paste. Okay, once you've pasted, click on OK. Right, the moment you click on OK, what's Power BI going to do? It will look at the address, go to that location, look at the data you want to bring in, and show you for you to confirm that that's what you want. All right, so now you would see this showing, you leave it on the default, which is anonymous. You don't need to change anything. And this just simply shows, for some websites, you need some access, username, password. So if it's a website that requires you to get the API or use a username or password, you do all of that here. But of course, anybody can get data from here for free without any restriction. So we're not going to change anything. We just click on connect. All right. Connect would connect you to that website and you'd see a preview, a sample of the data you want to bring in. And there you go. This is the sample of the data. This is what it looks like. The dates, the open, high, low, close, adjusted close, and volume. Now, what does this mean? This is the dates for when the Bitcoin price was recorded. The open price. So at what price did Bitcoin open? At what price did it close? What was the lowest on that date? Sorry, open high. What was the high? That's the highest it got to. What was the lowest it got to? What was the closing price? At what price did Bitcoin close? So when trading starts, it opens, right? The market opens, you have a price, and then it closes with a particular amount. Now, if you traded within that period, so let's assume Bitcoin opened at $100, or let's $20,000, and you bought at the price when it opened, and it's closed at $22,000. So opening at 20,000, you bought at that price, it closed at 22,000. You'd have made 2,000 profits. So as long as the close price is higher than the open price, that's a profit. But when the close price is lower than the open price, you've made a loss, all right? And then you have the volume of Bitcoin that was traded. So what we want to do is, as always, when you use Power BI, you don't want to load data directly. You want to transform your data. You want to check to be sure that everything is fine. If you need to clean up the data, you need to do one or two things to the data, you can do that. So you click on what? Transform data. So once you click on transform, like I said, it takes you into an environment where you can then play around with the data, adjust it, remove, merge, combine, do all the things you want to do. But the data is pretty clean. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to make any changes. The only thing we are going to do is to change the name of the table. Now, if you look at the name, it says BTC-USD period. It has all those funny stuff. I'm only going to leave it as BTC. Okay, so I'll take out all the other names. I'll take them out and I'll leave only BTC. So I want my table name to be what? BTC, that's all. This is the only thing I'm going to change. And of course, we don't have all the time to talk about, how do you check that your data is clean? How do you assure that you've done all the right transformation? We don't have time to do all of that or go into that nitty-gritty for today's session. You'll do that in a full Power BI class where you would dive into data, do some transformation to put the data in the right shape for analysis. All right, so BTC, hit enter. That renames the table for you. Okay. This is sorcery. It's not sorcery, trust me. It's simple Power BI. When you see power in front of BI, Power BI. Power BI is a fantastic, powerful tool. All right. So like I said, we're not going to make changes to the data. The data is pretty clean for us to work with. All I'll simply do is I'm just going to close and apply. At the top left corner, you'd see close and apply. Okay, so I'll click on the drop down and I'll select close and apply. Close and apply, we are loading the data into Power BI. So the assumption is if we had dirty data, we would have cleaned up the data, would merge what we need to merge, split what we need to split, extract what we need to extract, write some calculation, write some M language, if possible, to do some things in our Power Query before we load it into Power BI. But we don't need to do all of that. The data is clean. We can work with the data, just change the name, and we're going to bring the data into Power BI. So you can see it's loading. And you know that your data is loaded into Power BI when you see your table at the right-hand side. So if you look at the right-hand side, you can see BTC. That's my table. That's the name of the table I have. If I click on the drop-down, you'd see all the columns: adjusted, close, close, high, low, open, volume. You can see everything. Okay. Now, we're going to create what we have on the slide. We want to see the trend of the open and close price of Bitcoin. All right. And like I said, we want to get some insights from the data that we've gotten. 5 years worth of data, historical prices of Bitcoin, showing us the price at which it opened, the price at which it closed, the highest, the lowest, and the volume that was traded within that period. So we're going to do all of that. And would also, the last thing we'll do is to forecast, to predict into the future what the price of Bitcoin would look like in 2023. Now, before I start doing anything, for us to show anything reasonable, remember we are working with 5 years worth of data. So the open price, for example, we are looking at the open price from 2018 to 2023. How do we aggregate? Are we going to sum up all the so in January 2018, February 2018, March till December 2018, we had open prices for Bitcoin from 2018 to 2023. So how do we aggregate? The best way for us to aggregate, looking at what we want to achieve, is simply what? Average. Is simply what? Average. So we're going to average the open price, average the close price, average the volume, average the high, and average the low. So over the period of the 5 years we are looking at, we want to see the average of the open price. So we can clearly see in 2021, for example, did we have the close price higher than the open, which means if you had Bitcoin at the beginning of 2021 and you left it till the end, you'd have made a profit. Okay, and so on. So I want to look at that. That's one of the first things we'll do. To help us aggregate and find the average, we need to write some calculations. We can do it without the calculations, but I want to show you, of course, this is a learning session, how to write those kind of measures. They're called measures in Power BI. You create those calculations that would help you measure, calculate the performance using the averages. Okay. How do I do that? I simply go to what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the average open price, the average close price, the average high, the average low, and then the average volume. So 5 different calculations. So I'll go to my BTC table, right click on the table. And once you right click on your table, you'd see the option to select new measure. New measure. So I click on new measure. New measure would enable me write the calculations I need to write to help me aggregate using my averages. And it's very simple and very straightforward. So you can see my measure. When I click on new measure, you have measure equal to. Okay, so what's the name of your measure and it's equal to what? So the first one we're going to calculate is the average open. Okay, so I'm just simply going to type average open. That's the name of my measure, equal to. So average open equal to the average. Now, once I do equal to average, you'd see all the functions that starts with average. Average open equal to average. I haven't typed average fully. I just typed AVE. You'd see all the functions that starts with average. And this is very similar to Excel. However, these functions you see in Power BI are called DAX functions, data analysis expressions, DAX functions. So I select average, I click on average. Average would open up with an open bracket and ask, what do you want to average? Select the colon you would like to average. I want to average what? I want to average the open price. So I'm going to come here and I'll click on open. Okay. So average open equals the average of the open colon. There's a colon in my data set called open that contains the open prices of Bitcoin. So I'm telling Power BI, I'm creating a measure, a calculation to find the average of the open prices. And I close my bracket. I'm going to do this 5 times for the close. So trust me, if you didn't get this first one, you get the second, or you get the third one, and so on. All right. So once I close my bracket, I hit enter. Enter at the right-hand side. That's when you know that you've created your measure, because you'd see the name of the measure. You can see that it says what? Average open. That's the first measure we've created. And that's simply a calculation that would help us calculate the average. All right. Okay. So that's the average open. Let's do the other one, average close, right? Click on the BTC table one more time. Click on new measure. Same process, straightforward. Click on new measure. It opens up measure equal to, we type in average close equal to, so average close equal to what? The average of the close colon. All right, you have a colon open, you have a colon close, you have a colon high, low, and so on. So average of what? Close. So average, I type in average, you select the average function, which is a DAX function, select it. It opens up with the brackets. What colon do you want to average? We want to average the close colon. I'll select close, close the bracket, and hit enter. That creates my second measure for me. You see that at the right-hand side. Whenever you create a measure, you look at the right-hand side and you see that there. So I've created average open, I've created average close. Let's create average high and average low. Same process, right? Click on BTC, new measure, and you do the same, okay? Measure equal to, I'll simply type average open equal to, I beg your pardon, average high equal to average of the high colon. So I select high this time around and close the bracket, hit enter. Very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. Now I've done average high. It's time to do average low. Same process, right click, new measure, and you write the calculation for average low. Same process, average low equal to, you type the average function, you see, click on it, and you select the low colon, low. Once you select low, close the bracket, hit enter. And we're going to create the last calculation, which is the average volume. So we've done the average open, average close, average high, average low. We're going to do the what? Average volume. Right click on BTC, new measure, average volume. And trust me, guys, when you create things like this, even in this session, you go to an interview and you tell them that I created a visualization and forecasted the price of Bitcoin 1 year into 2023, or 6 months or 5 months, and you show them what you've done. You tell them how you got the data. Any recruiter in this world will be impressed by what you've done. What you're learning today within the space of 2 hours or less, any recruiter would be absolutely impressed with what you'd be able to do, as simple as it seems. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of these tools and how to utilize them. A lot of people know how to use Power BI, but they don't know how to get data the way I got the data into Power BI. By doing what? Getting the link instead of copying, putting it on Excel, or downloading the data as a CSV or as an Excel file. All right. So let's create the last measure, which is average volume equal to the average function. Of course, as usual, I click on average and then I select what? Volume. Close the bracket, hit enter. So we've created all the calculations that we need. It's time to start building. Now, if you join the session on Saturday, we followed a particular pattern, and that's the pattern we follow as well. Okay, which is when you are building, just imagine yourself constructing a building, or you have a house, you built a house, or you've seen where they're building a house. You always start with what? The foundation. You build your foundation, you have an idea of how the house would look on paper, or on the ground, you'd see the carve-outs, the living room, all the rooms, the bathrooms, and all of that. You'd be able to see until they start putting in the blocks and all of that. So we're going to create the foundation. You would have an idea of how the dashboard would look like before we even start creating our visualizations, okay? Now, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to darken the background, okay, to a dark blue background. So I just click on the blank background, okay? Somebody's asking, Is it possible? Okay, why is the average needed? Of course, we have to. So the question is, how do we aggregate for all the years? We have from 2018 to 2023. Why are we aggregating? We're aggregating simply because you need to be able to summarize the data. So how are you going to summarize? Are you going to summarize by adding up the prices of Bitcoin from 2018 to 2023? It would make no sense. You can't really get meaningful or insightful in any insights by doing that. So you want to see the average. It's like saying that for every month, sometimes you collect your, so let's say you work from January to December, okay? Some months you get paid some allowances. Another month, when you take your leave, you get paid leave allowance. So your salary is 500K per month, 500,000 naira. In January, you take 500,000, February, 500,000. But in March, you have leave allowance, so your salary is 700. In April, you have another allowance, your salary is maybe 650. So it's not the same amount you receive as salary from January to December. Now, how do you determine your average monthly salary? So if somebody asks you, well, how much do you make in a month? Because you don't receive the same amount from January to December, you need to give an average, give or take. And how do you do that? You find the average from January to December, 12 months. You add up the salary divided by 12. That gives you an average. So averagely, your salary every month would be maybe 550 or 600K, looking across from January to December. Okay. Is the average yearly? Is monthly, not yearly. It's monthly. Remember, we took our data, we selected monthly instead of daily. Now let's build. We'll take all those questions so we don't take too much time. All right. Now I've clicked on the blank canvas. At the right-hand side, you have the reports, the format reports page. This icon helps you format. You want to change the color, you want to increase the size, you want to do stuff to your canvas. Your canvas is like where you do all the painting and the magical stuff you'd like to do. All right, so I click on this icon, format. Okay, I go to my canvas background because I want to change the color of the background. I go to canvas background, click on that, and I change the color from white. I change it to dark blue. So I select this blue, the last one at the bottom. I click on it. When you click on it, nothing will change initially, and that's because the transparency is 100%. So I'll reduce the transparency from 100% to 0 by clicking on the slider and dragging it all the way back to 0%. When I do that, you see that the background changes to a blue color, the blue color I selected. But the blue is not dark enough. I want it darker. So I go back to my color, I click on my color again one more time, and then I click on more colors. More colors. Once I click on more colors, I can see a color scheme that would appear on my screen. And once I move this circle, I click and drag it around, the color changes. So I'm going to drag it to where it is dark, and the color changes to a dark colored blue. And I leave it there when the color is dark. Feel free, use any color you'd love to use. Feel free to explore and make different changes as much as you would. Okay, so I've changed it to a dark blue color, and I want to put my blocks. Okay, so put all the things that would form the shape of my dashboard eventually. Okay, and I'm going to use shapes, rectangles, to create those, to create my foundation. All right, so how do I do that? I'll simply go to the Insert tab at the top. So you have Home, Insert, Modeling, you have all the tabs, just like you would have in any Microsoft application. I'll click on Insert. Once you click on Insert, at the right-hand side, all the way to the right, you would see Insert a shape or add a shape to your report. I'll click on Add a Shape, and this time around, I'll use rounded rectangle. So you have different shapes, so you can choose different shapes to use, but I'll use rounded rectangles. So I'll click on a rounded rectangle, and you'll see it appear on my screen, rounded rectangle. And I'll start to modify increase the length, and do all the things I would like to do. Okay, so I'll bring my rounded rectangle somewhere here. I would adjust the size a little bit. Okay, adjust the size, increase it to the right. Something like this is fine. Okay, now I don't like the color. It doesn't look too good because the contrast between the background and the color itself makes it look very funny. Okay, so I'm going to change the contrast. I'll change the color of this rounded rectangle. So I'll make sure I'm clicked on the rounded rectangle. Let me adjust it a bit more. Something like this is fine. Sorry. Okay, I want to change the color. All right. So I'll click on the rounded rectangle at the right-hand side where you have formats. You'd see shape, you'd see style. So first of all, the rounds along the rectangle is too rounded. So I want to reduce that. So I'll click on my shape and you see the rounded corners is on 25%. So I'll reduce it to maybe 10%. So the angles or the corners are not too rounded. So let's leave it at 10%. This looks better. Okay, and then I'll go to style because I want to change the color. So I'll go to style, click on style. The color shows the light blue color. I'll change it to dark blue. So I'll click on color and I'll select the same blue that I use for the background. Okay, so I'll click on that same blue. Now, once I click on the same blue, you can see that it blends directly into the background, which doesn't look very good. So it doesn't stand out. The only reason I know that there is a rectangle there is because of the outline, the border around the rectangle. So I'll click on it and I'll lighten up the color a bit. The same way I darkened my background, I'll lighten this rectangle. So I'll click on the rectangle. I'll go back to style. I'll go back to color and I'll click on what? More colors. Okay. Once I click on more colors, I'll drag this circle over here. I'll drag it up a little bit. And you see that it starts to change to a lighter blue background. Drag it up a bit, and I think this is fine. I'll leave it at this color, click outside, and now you can see, yes, the blue is also dark, but not very dark. So it clearly stands out from the background itself. It's also important to know that data visualization is also an art. Just as it is a science, because you're going to do calculations and all of that, you're going to extract insights. It's also an art. So how visually appealing is your dashboard? How good is it to look at, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now that I've done that, the last thing I'll do is I want to add some sort of flavor to my shape. I want it to pop out a bit. Okay. So always try to make things look good. And when you're trying to do yours, explore other options to make your shapes and your dashboard look fantastic. So I'll click on the shape. I'll go back to style. Okay, click on style and glow. I want to add some glow to my shape so that it pops from the background itself. So I'll add glow. I'll click on the slider. It's currently off. So I click on the slider to turn it on. And the moment I turn it on, you can see the glow around the shape. This makes it look better than the way it looked before. So it's starting to look good. And the good thing about this is once I've done the first one, I don't need to do all those steps again. I can simply do what? Copy and paste. Straightforward. So I want to put something down here as well. So I'll click on this first one I've created, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I always get the question, Control D, would that duplicate? No, Control D would not work to duplicate in Power BI. So you have to Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So I click on the shape, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I drag this down. Okay, I create a duplicate, I drag it down. All right, so now I have two shapes. Remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to build the background. Okay, I want another shape at the bottom. Another shape at the bottom. So I click on this again, Control C, Control V. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Create another duplicate. I drag it down. Okay, but this one, I'll increase the size a bit, increase it down, and increase it to the right. This is where we're going to create our forecast. Okay, we're going to create our forecast at the one at the bottom. All right. So now we've created the first one, the second one, we have the one at the bottom. We need to put stuff at the right-hand side over here. Right. Again, I don't want to do it from scratch. So copy and paste. So I'll click on any of the shapes, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'll come here, bring this to the right-hand side, adjust the shape. Here, I want to put something called a slicer. Okay, so I'll adjust the shape, drag it up a bit like this. I think this is fine. Drag it to the right a bit. I think this is also okay. All right, I'm going to put something at the bottom. Again, copy and paste. You've done the first one. That eases the work for you. Click on that, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Drag it down, increase the size. Okay, so my foundation is taking shape. My foundation is taking shape. Now, the process to doing this, understanding what to put here, what shape to put here, why am I putting this here? How did I know I should do it this way? That comes with experience, number one. Number two, it also comes with what? Being creative. So you've created different types of dashboards before. So you want to create something new. First of all, you envision what you want to create. You take your pen, take a sheet of paper, and draw how you want your dashboard to look like. So you draw the deck, first of all, on a paper to understand what would be where. I'm going to have a bar chart here. I'm going to have a line chart here. I would have a pie chart, a donut chart. You've done that on paper before you start creating this. Okay, and that's what you do in a live Power BI class. We can't do everything in a 2-hour session. Okay, so before you even start creating all of this, just like the way the architect will draw the plan, the builder will then take the plan, carve out the foundation, and start to build. You would be the architect. You would take your pen, take a sheet of paper, understand what you want to create, draw it on the paper, have all the shapes, what would be in what would be in a particular shape. You have that on paper, and then you build your foundation just like I'm doing. Once you've done that, you then create your visuals, add them on top of the foundation. Okay. Now that we have this, what next? I want to put some rectangles here to show me the average open, the average close, average high, average low, average volume. So I'm going to put in 5 different rectangles at the right-hand side here. So I'm just going to copy what I already have as usual. Control C, Control V, drag it to the right-hand side, reduce the size. Now I want to put 5 blocks in here. Now you can't really tell how wide or how long the rectangle should be, but always remember this: nothing is cast in stone. You can make adjustments. If it doesn't fit, reduce it, do it again, and you can iterate as much as possible, as much as you like. All right, so I have my first rectangle, something like this. I'm just going to copy this, Control C, Control V. I bring it down. Second one, Control C, Control V. The third one, Control C, Control V. The fourth, and Control C, Control V, the fifth. Okay, so those are my 5 rectangles. And there you go. You have your background created. Now it's time to build the visuals. So what would you build on top of this? Remember, you've drawn it on a sheet of paper. You understand what you are doing before you even start. So you're not just doing things flying all over the place. You know what you want to do. You have it on paper. You create this on your Power BI, and you start to create your visuals. The first visual we're going to create is a visual to show us the average open and close price from 2018 till date. And we'll show that using a chart called a ribbon chart. A ribbon chart. How do I get my ribbon chart? At the right-hand side under visualizations, you'd see different types of visuals. Okay, your stacked bar, stacked column, clustered bar, clustered column. You'd see all the charts over there. Some similar to what you'd see in Excel, but Power BI has so many more fantastic charts you can use. They're called visuals in Power BI. At the right-hand side here, you can see something called the ribbon chart. Ribbon chart. I'll click on that. So once I click on the ribbon chart, any chart you click on, it appears on the screen blank. You have to populate it to see anything on that chart. So this is blank. I'll just put it here. Okay, and I'm going to adjust to fit into my foundation. Now I'm building. Okay, now I am building. So I'll fit it into that foundation I've created. Okay, just like that. Yes, something like this. I'll click on the outside. You can see the chart here. Now we're going to populate it with what? We want to see the year from 2018 to 2023. And we want to see what has the average open and close price looked like over the years. So I click on the blank visual. It's blank. I haven't populated it. I click on it. Okay. And I move to the calculations I created. First of all, I'm going to select my dates. My date shows me 2018 from January to December, 2019, January to December, and so on. So I'm going to click on what? I'll click on the dates. I'll just click on the tick box to select it. Once you select it, automatically Power BI knows where to put it. It puts it under the x-axis. That's fine. We're going to leave it at that. Okay. Now I'm also going to take my what? Average open. I've calculated that already. We did it together. Average open. I'll take that into my y-axis. Okay. So I can drag it. I'm going to click on average open, drag it to y-axis. And I'll take average close, drag it also to y-axis. All right. So I have my average open and average close, but guess what? It doesn't appear to make any sense on the chart. And the reason is simple. The reason is because whenever you are working with date-related columns, Power BI would create a hierarchy. The hierarchy starting from the year, then you'd have the quarter, you'd have the month, you'd have the day. It creates that hierarchy for you. And you can see that over here. So you have the dates, you have the year, you have the quarter, you have the month, you have the day. You don't need all of this. All you need is just the year, actually. For this particular one, you only need the year. So I'm going to take out the day. And as I take them out, you'd see the chart readjust. I'll take out the quarter as well. So you can see it's also what? Readjusted. And the last one I'll take out is what? The month. I'll take out the month. And there you go. You can see it looks and it makes a lot more sense than what it looked like before. Now, before I create any additional stuff here or format my chart in a way that would look better, I want to explain what we are seeing. Okay. Now you have the light blue color called the average open, and you have the dark blue color called the average close. You can see the ribbon chart. Let's take 2021, for example. If you look at the year 2021, what do you notice? The dark blue color, which is average close, is at the top, and the light blue color, which is average open, is at the bottom. It means that the average close was higher than the average open. That's why the average close is at the top. Whenever you have the average close at the top, it means you would have made a profit. If you bought Bitcoin at that point where it was the average open price was lower than the average close price. So you'll notice that in 2018, the average open price was higher. You can see the light blue is at the top. So if you had bought Bitcoin, take for example, you had Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, you left it till the end of the year, you'd make a loss. In 2019, the average close was higher than the average open. That's a profit. 2020, profit. 2021, the average close is higher than the average open. That also shows what? You would have made a profit, obviously. And in 2022, you can see that the average open was higher. You can see the average open, the light blue color at the top, and the average close at the bottom. And in 2023 already, you can also see that the average close is at the top. It's more than the average open. This is the beauty of the ribbon chart and what the ribbon chart shows you. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly, format this visual to make it look better, make it look good, because you can't have this white colored background on this blue colored chart. It's on this blue colored dashboard. It makes no sense. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this white colored background. So I click on the visual. I go to the right-hand side. You'd see that icon with the paintbrush, format your visual. I click on it. Okay. First thing I want to take out is the white colored background. I'll go to General, click on General. I'll go to Effects, open up Effects, and then you'd see background. It's on. I'll take it off. Click on the slider to take it out. So the background disappears. Now, when the background disappears, because the colors of the font you have are dark colored fonts, they don't show clearly anymore. So we need to change it to a lighter color, or preferably just change it to white. Okay. So I'm quickly going to do that. So to do that, I'll simply click on my visual. I was currently on General, right? I'll click on Visual. Under Visual, I'll go to my X-axis. So your X-axis are the years 2018, 2019. These are your this is your X-axis, and your Y-axis is here. So I'll go to my X-axis. I'll open it up. Okay. I'll go to my values, open it up. I'll go to the color. I'll change the color from gray. I'll change it to what? White. So immediately you can see 2018 to 2023, white. I'll also reduce the font. I always like the font of my labels to be as minimal as possible. So the font size is 9. I'll reduce it to 8. So you can see 2018 to 2023 is now visible because I've changed the color to what? White. Now, the legends that shows average open and average close are also not very clear, simply because the font color is dark, is gray in color. I'll change that to white as well. Okay. So I'll scroll down, you see legend. Okay. I'll click on the drop down on that legend. Under legend, you'd see text. Click on the drop down on that text, and then you'd see the color. I'll change the color from dark gray to white. So my legend now shows a white color. Average open, average close. I don't want it to also be at the top because it's distracting. So I want to bring it to the bottom of the chart. Okay. So rather than having it at the top left corner, still under legend, I'll change it. I'll change the position from top left to bottom center. Okay. So once I do that, you can see it at the bottom. That's preferable. So it's not distracting anymore. The last thing I'll do to this chart, I'll change the title. So the title is also clear. I'll change the title. So the title is also clear. And I'll add the labels to show the price of Bitcoin, the open price and the close price. So it displays on the chart itself. So let's change the title first of all. To change my title, I scroll up. Okay, I go to General, click on General. Under General, I go to Title, click on the drop down on that title, and I change my title from here. So I'll click inside there, take out what I have, delete it, and I'll change my title to what? Trend of open and close price. Okay, trend of open and close price. I'll change the color from black to white, so it's also visible. I'll change the text color to white. All right. And I'll reduce the size from 14. I'll reduce it to something like 10. So let's make it 10. Okay. So now it looks a lot better. You can see the stuff you're looking at. Like I explained, what this chart simply shows us is whenever the close price is at the top, what does it mean? It means that profit was made that period. And you'd see the price of the open was definitely lower than the price of close. But whenever the open price appears at the top, it means the open price was more than the close price. So if you bought at the open price, by the time Bitcoin closed at the amount it closed, you'd have lost some money. Okay. So now that we've done this, I want to take out these lines. You see these lines that shows the grid lines over here. It makes it look ugly. So I'm going to take out the lines. Okay, how do I do that? I still go back to my format as usual. All right. And I'll scroll down. Sorry, I click on visual, not general. I click on visual. And once you click on visual, you'd see grid lines. Grid lines. Okay. Click on the drop down. And I'll just take it out completely. So it's on, I'll put it off. Click on the slider to take it off completely. So let's leave it at this. We can do a lot more to the chart, but let's leave it at this for now. Let's add the last thing we'd add is the what? The labels. So let's add the labels and then. So I go back to my format, you'd see data labels, just turn it on by clicking on the slider once, and you can see the price. The closing price of Bitcoin in 2021 was 47. Open price was 46. 2022, the open price was $30,000. The close price was 28,000. So 2022 was not a very good year for Bitcoin, obviously. But now look at 2023. Something interesting is happening. The close price is 24,000, just like we saw today. The average in 2023 has been 24,000. Average open was 21. So there's a high tendency or likelihood there's profit to be made. We'll see this when we do our forecasts. That would give us some sense or idea into what the price of Bitcoin would look like in the next few weeks or next few months, depending on how far into the future we would like to see. Okay, so this shows us insights into what happened from 2018 to the current period 2023. Now let's move a little bit faster. We want to see if there's a trend between the volume of Bitcoin traded and the highest price of Bitcoin. Remember, we've calculated the average high, the highest amount of Bitcoin, the highest value. Is there a trend between the highest value and the volume traded? So I also want to see that. Because I've done a lot of formatting to this chart, I don't want to have to start all over again and waste so much time. So I'm just going to copy the chart I have at the top. Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. So I click on the chart, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. That creates a duplicate, and I just drag it down. So I have a duplicated chart, exactly what I have above. But this time around, what I want to see is different from what I have above. I want to see the what? The highest amount of Bitcoin from 2018 to 2023. What's the highest price? And then I would also love to see if there's a relationship or there's a correlation with the volume of Bitcoin traded. Okay, so I take out the average open, I take out the average close on the duplicate. How do I do that? I go to the right-hand side where I have average open, I click on X, average close, I click on X. All right, and I bring in my average. I select a different chart first of all. For this, I want to use my line and clustered column. So my columns would show me the average high and my line would show me the volume. Okay, so I'm going to click on line and clustered column. Click on that first of all. And then my column, like I said, would be my what? Would be my average high. So I'm going to take my average high that I calculated. I'll drag it, drop it under column. Okay, and immediately I do that, you can see 2018, what was the average amount of Bitcoin? In 2018, Bitcoin was $8,000. That was the average. 2019 average was 9,000. 2020, 13,000. 2021, the average was $56,000. I remember vividly. In 2021, Bitcoin even got as high as $60,000, about 61,000 or thereabouts. 2022 average was 33. 2023, the average is what? 24. Now let's see the volume and see if when volume increases with the price of Bitcoin, the highest amount, would it increase? The average high, would it increase or would it decrease? So let's see that. So on the line y-axis, I'm going to drag my average volume and I'll drop it under line y-axis. All right. So I'm going to drag average volume and I'll drop it under line y-axis. So you can see my line. all right? But because you have so many things in the charts, it's not making it very clear and it doesn't look good. So we're going to take out all of this. We'll take out all of this. Remember this, if you don't take out anything from this session today, when building dashboards, when building charts, always remember less is more. Less is more. And what does less is more mean? What does less is more? What does it mean? It simply means that the lesser elements you have on your chart, the more you communicate with that chart. Okay? Because you have so many things going on in this chart, for example, it's difficult to make sense out of it. So we're going to take out as many irrelevancies as possible and leave only what is relevant. So when creating charts, when creating dashboards, always remember it's one of the principles in data visualization. Less is more. When in terms of colors, a lot of people create, charts with so many colors. Maximum of 2 to 3 colors you use, best practice in data visualization. That's why you'd see the colors I'm using, consistent, different tones of blue, not more than 3 colors of blue. It's a principle, and this makes you communicate better using the charts you've created and the dashboards you've also created. So first of all, we'll take out all these numbers. Okay, so I'll go to Format at the right-hand side over here. Click on Format Your Visual. Data labels, those are the numbers you can see. I'll turn it off. I'll click on the slider to take it out. So that goes away first of all right? Then I'll go up a little bit. All these lines are cuts across the axis, the y-axis over here, the title of the x-axis over here. I don't need them. Okay, so I'm going to take them out. So I'll go to my x-axis, click on it to open it. Okay, and where I have title, I'll take it out, off. The title goes away. Less is more. Always remember, less is more. So I'll go to my y-axis, open up y-axis, take out my title as well, and then I'll take out the y-axis completely. Okay, less is more. Now let's look at the chart and see if we can make sense out of the chart. Look at your average volume, which is a dark blue line, and your average high are the columns, the light blue columns. In 2018, you had very low volume trading in Bitcoin, and you can see the average high amount of Bitcoin also, sort of correlated with the volume traded. But as the volume increased, what happened? The average amount of Bitcoin also increased. Now, what does this tell you? It tells you that the moment you are able to see an increase in the volume of Bitcoin, that would also come with an increase in the price of Bitcoin, because it means a lot of people are trading Bitcoin. There's a lot of movements in the market, and it means people are selling, people are buying Bitcoin. So the volume of Bitcoin would go up, as well as the amount of Bitcoin as well. So if you look at 2020, as the volume increased, and you can see the peak in 2021, the volume was at the highest in 2021, and you can see the average high of Bitcoin. But as it started to drop, the volume also started to drop. In 2023, you can see the volume and you can see the average high as well. Now, there's something I want you to take into consideration. Now, when you're building yours, be a bit creative and go into it. I did some additional analysis, but we can't do it here because of time. Okay, I want you to calculate the decrease, the rates of decrease or the rate of decline from 2021 to 2022 to 2023. Is it decreasing at a reducing rate? So if, for example, the decrease between 2021 to 2022, it decreased by 50%. But from 2022 to 2023, it decreased by 5%. What does that mean? It means that, yes, the volume is decreasing, but at a reduced rate, meaning that it could increase. There's a lot of movement in the market, and this can lead to more volume of Bitcoin within the market itself. And what happens when the volume increases? The price also increases. So this is how we see the volume and the average high of Bitcoin over the years. This chart shows us clearly. Now, we're going to show the average volume over the years, okay? Only the volume of Bitcoin from 2018 to 2023. We're going to show that, and I'm just going to pop into the charts to see some of the questions that you might have, because I can see a lot of questions coming in. My break is over. I have to go back to work. No problem, Uzo. He's explaining what the name, Power BI. Please, what tool did you use? Of course, it's Power BI. Maybe you just joined. Yeah, this session is for free. I'm not sure you paid to join. I'm not sure you paid to join. This session is for free. Of course, if you didn't pay, then how did you find yourself here? It's absolutely free. And the video will be sent to everybody. Okay, now, what do we want to show? We want to show the average volume over the years. From 2018, we see how the volumes have increased. Again, I don't want to always create my charts from scratch, so I copy and paste. So I click on this. Now, this could happen to you when you're creating yours. You can see that the chart I have here has disappeared. And you might start to worry, oh, what happened? I'm not sure. All you need to do is what? Just click on the outside, on a blank space. Once you click on a blank space, the chart would reappear. Okay, so I click on the charts, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, duplicate. I drag it here. Okay, I drag it here and I adjust the size of the chart. Adjust the size, but we're going to use a different chart this time around. We're going to use a bar chart to show us the volume from 2018 to 2023. Okay, so now that I've adjusted, I'll go to the right-hand side and I'll take out what I don't need the high anymore. I only need the what? Average volume. Okay, but before I take it, I'll take out the high. I'll take out the high, all right? And then I'll change my chart to what? A clustered bar chart. Clustered bar chart. So I'll click on clustered bar. And when I click on clustered bar, you can see my 2020, well, it's showing me from 2018, 19, 20, 2021, 2022, and 2023. You can see that over there. And that's what my chart looks like. But I'm going to change it so I can see all the numbers. From 2018, I need to see 2019, I need to see 2021, I need to see 2023. Okay, so I'll just click on this. As usual, the formatting we've been doing, all the formats you want to do to your chart, you do them at the right-hand side over here. This icon that says format your visual, I click on that. I go to my y-axis, click on my y-axis, okay, and I change the type from continuous to categorical. So I click on the drop down and I change it to categorical. And once I do that, you see everything appear from 2018 to 2023. All right. I'm also going to add the data label. So I'll see the average volume traded those years from 2018 to 2023. All right. So I'll simply go back to my visual, go down, I'll scroll down a little bit under data labels. It's off. I'll put it on by clicking on the slider. Okay, and of course, when I put it on, what happens? The color is dark, so I really can't see the numbers. So it means I have to change the color of the data label to white. So I click on the drop down, I go to values, open up values, scroll down, change the color from dark gray to white. And once you do that, you can see the numbers, 0.37 trillion. Let's make it billion so it's easier to see. Okay, so still under my data label, still under values, I'll change my units. It's on automatic. Power BI would select the unit it feels you should use. So I'll change it from auto to billions. All right, so it's showing in billions, but again, I would change it. I don't want any decimal. Take out the decimal. So I'll go into my decimal, type in 0 in the decimal and hit enter. That takes out the decimal points. So I can see the average volumes traded. 2021 was phenomenal. Phenomenal. The volume of Bitcoin traded in 2021 averagely. Now that I've done this, you can see in 2018, you just had 157 billion in volume. 2019, 509. And in 2020, you had 1 trillion. 2021, you had 1.4 trillion. 2022, you had 913 billion. And in 2023, from January till date, you have 369 billion. Now, our titles are not correctly communicating the charts that we have. So this shows trend of volume. But because I have been copying and pasting, it's also taking the title from what I have copied. So we're just going to change that here. Okay, so I'll go to, under my visualization, I'll go to general. Okay, I'll go to title, and I'll change my title to what? Trend of volume. Trend of average, let's put average volume. Okay. I'll also change this as well. Remember, I copied and pasted, so it's still showing me what I copied from the top is trend of, high, and the average volume, not open and close anymore. So I'll change that as well. I'll go to my title and I'll say trend of average, high, and volume. All right, so that's my title. Now I'm going to create something very quickly before we create our line chart. I want to wrap this up in the next 10, 15 minutes. All right, and we do our forecast. I want to show all the numbers of my average close, average open, average high, average low. I want to show them in these boxes over here. All right, and I'm going to show them using a visual called the card visual. The what? Card visual. So I click on the card visual. As usual, it opens up into a blank visual. I bring it here, adjust the size to fit into my background or my foundations. Okay, so I have that here. It is blank. Okay, so I'm going to do what? I'm going to populate it. What do I want to show at the top? Average open. All I need to do while clicking on this is just to go and click on my average open. I just click on it to select. And once I click on it to select, it shows me a number. Very ugly number, very big. But remember, you can always what? Format. So let's quickly format. We're going to reduce the font size, make the color white, remove the white background so that it shows clearly. Okay, so how do I do that? I go to my format icon, click on format your visual, go to call out value, click on that, reduce the font size from 45, I reduce it to 30. It's a bit more sensible to have it at 30, so it's not just too big like that. So 30, I'll take out my category label, okay? So I'm going to type in my title itself. We'll do that ourselves. So I'll take out the category label. So I have my number. What more do I want to do? I want to change the color to white. So I'll click on color, change it to white. Okay, because I have a white background, it's not showing any longer. So I take out the white background. So I go to general. Under general, I go to effects. Under effects, I'll see my background and I'll take it out. So I have my average open. Now, I just have a number. It doesn't tell me if it's average open or average close. So let's type it in. How do I type it in? Very simple. From the insert tab at the top, insert at the top, at the right-hand side, you see text box. And this is why Power BI is intuitive and fantastic. Sometimes you don't even need anybody to tell you, you know what to do. So I click on text box, and this is your text box, right? I'll just simply type in what? My title. So let's drag it here first. And I'll type my title is what? Average open. That's all. Average open. I'll select it. I'll make it bold. All right. I'll change the color to white. Okay. And that's it. Okay, that's it. It's still there, but because I changed it to white, it's no longer showing, but it's still there. Rest assured that the average open is there. I'll adjust the size and then I'll just drag it from where it is and I'll put it somewhere here. Okay, and I'll take out the white background as usual. Once I'm clicked in there, I go to Effects. Under Effects, you'd see Background. I'll take out the background, and that's my average open. Okay, so there you go. Let me bring it down a bit. Let me put it at the center like that. So that's my average open price. I'm going to do the same for average close and all of that. We're going to do the same thing. So let me adjust it a bit so it makes more sense. Something like that. That's my average open price. So let's do for the average close. Remember, we don't want to stress. So we're copying and pasting, making it easy for ourselves. So I'll click on average open, copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and I'll bring it down. Let's bring it down. Okay, but instead of open, I want close. So I'll click on this, the duplicate. I'll go to where I have average open. I'll take it out by clicking on the X. And I'll select what? Average close. I'll copy the header over here. I'll copy as usual, Control C, Control V, copy and paste, drag it down. Drag it down. But instead of average open, I'm going to change it to what? Average close. You can adjust it. I'm not going to bother myself adjusting it for it to look perfect because of time. Okay, that's average close. So you can see clearly that averagely within the last 5 years, there's been a slight increase in the price of the average open price of Bitcoin, the average close price of Bitcoin. Now let's also see the average high and the average low. So I'm going to click on what I have here, copy and paste, Control C, Control V. I bring it down. I'll take out the average close, click on the X to take it out, and I'll select average high. Okay, average high. And I'll just come here, copy, Control C, Control V, and I'll bring it down. And I'll change it to average high. I'll change close to high. Okay. I'm not going to bother myself aligning and adjusting. And then I'll do the average low. Copy this, Control C, Control V, drop it down, take out average high. So you can see that the process itself is straightforward, pretty easy. I'll take out the average high and I'll select what? Average low. Okay, and I'll copy and paste the title. Control C, Control V as usual, copy and paste, drag it down, change from average high to average low. And the last is average volume, and then we'll forecast. Okay, so let's copy this as well. Control C, Control V, copy and paste, bring it down. Okay, and I'll take out my average low, click on the X, and I'll select average volume. The average volume of Bitcoin traded $803.8 billion within the last 5 years. All right, so copy the title, Control C, Control V, and I'll title average volume. I'm just going to put VOL, average volume. So let's leave it at that. So we can see the average open, the average close, the average high, average low, and the average volume. So when you're creating yours, align your titles to the center, make them look nice and stuff. Now let's create our line charts to show the trend and also forecast into the future. And I want you guys to tell me how far the slicer, we're going to put a slicer, don't worry. Why can't you just put a title like in the others? No, I don't want to do that because it takes out the space for my values to show. So that's why. Are we going to have it for free all through, or we need to pay at some point? This session you have tonight, this session for this evening is 100% free. Okay, but of course, I'm going to talk to you about the program, our program we have coming up. We have a program coming up over the weekend. I'll talk about that at the end of this. This session you joined is 100% free. We didn't tell you to pay any money to join the session. Okay, so you're here for free, 100%. All right, so now let's create our line charts. So I'll just simply copy one of the charts I already have. So let's take this one, copy, Control C, Control V to paste, and I'll bring it down. Okay, so like I said, I'm just copying and pasting because I don't want to have to create from scratch again. So let's adjust it this way. But I want to use a line chart, not the ribbon chart. This is a ribbon chart. I don't want to use the ribbon chart. I want to use a line chart. Okay, so I'll take out this, take out my average close, take out my average open, and then I'll select my what? Line chart. Line chart. Okay, I would also, because my dates, I need my year and I need my month. I had taken it out from the one at the top. That's why over here, you don't have it anymore, but we can bring it back. How can we bring it back? I just click on the drop down where I have my dates. I click on the drop down and I would say show all levels, show all levels. So I click on the drop down where I have my dates and I click on show all levels. So it's going to show me all the levels in the hierarchy, year, quarter, month, and day. Now, my y-axis would be my average close. Why am I using my average close? I'm using my average close so that we'll see the price at which Bitcoin closed from January 2018 to February 2023. And we can use that to forecast. So if it's closed at this price, what would be the closing price going into March, April, and so on and so forth? Okay, so I'm going to select my average close. Okay, and you can see the line, very ugly line. It only shows me the years, but I want to break it down, showing me the month and the year, not just the way it is. I want to see my year broken down into points, each month of the year. So January, February, March, and so on. I want to see the points. So what do? I'll go to my x-axis where I have all my levels. I'll take out my day. I don't need the day. I'll take out my quarter. I don't need the quarter. I only need my year and I need my month. All right. So what can you see here? You can see all the points now. You can see the points on the line. If I leave my mouse here, for example, this shows 2019 February. If I move it forward, 2019 March, 2019 April, 2019 May, June, and you see it across all the years like that. But I want to show it I want the points to actually show, even though I don't move my mouse across the line. How can I do that? Let's make the line look better. Let's take out all these ugly grid lines. Remember, less is more. So whatever is not needed, please yank it off. Leave only things that communicate clearly what you're trying to show to whoever will be looking at this in the future. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to adjust this. I think just 1 second. Adjust my titles. Yes, adjust this as well, and adjust this as well. All right, so let's put the points on the line. So I click on my line charts and then I go to format as usual. That's where you format everything you want to format. I click on format and you see something called markers. Markers are off. I'll turn it on. And once I turn on the markers, can you see all these points? Okay, I don't want the points to be distracting. So I want to make them a little bit smaller and make the colors a little bit darker. So I'll go to my markers, click on the drop down, and I'll change the size from 5 to 4, make it smaller. And I'll change the colors from the light blue. Click on the color, change it from light blue to, let's use a darker blue. Let's use this blue, which is, let me see. Yeah, we can use this. So yes, the points are still showing, but it's not that prominent anymore. Now let's make the figures, the value of the Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin. You can see the numbers, but they are dark gray. So let's change the data labels to what? White. So I'll look for my data labels, click on the drop down and change them from what? I'll go to my value, go to values, and I'll change the color from dark gray to white. So the numbers would show better. Let's take out the grid lines. We don't need them anymore. Remember, less is more. So let's take out the grid lines. Let's take out all of this that are not necessary, that are not needed. I'll simply go to, let me collapse this. I'll go to my grid lines as usual, click on grid lines. I'll click on horizontal grid lines, turn it off, and it's no longer there. So it looks neater. I would also take out this on the y-axis. So I'll go to my y-axis, click on y-axis, turn off the title, and then I would what? Turn off the y-axis completely. Now you can see that the price of Bitcoin here was 59,000, 2021 March. And in 2021 October, Bitcoin got as high as $61,000. I think that was the highest. That was the all-time high for Bitcoin, $61,000. Okay. Now we can see that we are in 2023. This is January and this is February. Okay. In January, Bitcoin was 23,139. In February, 24,600. How many months do you think we should forecast Bitcoin into the future? So I want you to give me the feedback. Let's forecast into the future. How many months should we forecast the price of Bitcoin into the future? Tell me what you think, and we're going to work with your suggestions. Fumdi says 6 months. Adeni says 6 months. Fine. Joseph says 3 months, 6 months, 6 months. So I think the 6 months have it. Okay, so let's see the price of Bitcoin 6 months into the future. Okay, 6 months into the future. End of the year, Shakiru, 5 months, Nokia 4.2. Okay, so let's see 6 months. And of course, when I show you how to do it for 6 months, you can do as, you know, you can forecast further into the future as much as you want to. Okay, so let's do that. Now, I can see from 2018 to 2023, but let's see what would happen in the future. Before you do that, you must add something additional analysis to your chart. And how do you show that? You click on the chart itself. At the top where you've been doing your format, you have something that looks like a magnifying glass called what? Add further analysis to your visual. Add further analysis to your visual. Click on that. You look at different things you have on that particular option. Go to the bottom, you would see forecast. It is currently off. Put it on by clicking on the slider. Okay, when you put it on, you'd see something pop out. It's not very clear, but I'm going to change the color. Let me change the color of the forecast line. So you see what has happened to my chart when I turned on forecast. Let me open it up, okay? And I'll change the color. So let me change the color for you so you see what has happened before we do anything else. Let's use this color. Or let's use this so it's clearer. Okay, so you can see what has happened when I turned on forecast. Forecast was initially off, but I put it on. And when I put it on, this line appeared. But if you look at the line, it looks like a straight line. Nothing is happening. The price is really not changing. It's not moving up, it's not moving down. So is this actually a forecast? The answer is no. So how can we adjust it so that it shows us what makes sense in terms of, is the price going to go up? Is it going to go down? At what point? And so on and so forth. So we're going to open up the forecast. We're going to click on the drop down to open it up, okay? Now, there are certain things we have to change here, okay? Now you have units. Unit says points. We're going to change points. So click on the drop down. We'll change points to what? Months. We are going with 6 months, right? So we're going to change it to what? Months. Instead of points, we change it to months. That's number one. Number two is our forecast length. You said 6 months. Some people said 3, some said 10. Feel free to make as much forecast into the future as you want, but let's make it 6. So I'm going to reduce it to what? 6. Ignore the last. You can ignore this. You don't need to change anything here where you have ignore last. Seasonality is currently on what? Auto, is automatic. But what we are going to do is to change seasonality to 12. Okay, so change seasonality to 12. So you have 12 months in a year. All right. So, and Bitcoin is also very volatile in terms of how it changes and all of that. So we're going to leave seasonality at 12. Every month we attach some level of seasonality to that. So change it to 12 months in a year. We leave it at that. Confidence level 95%. You don't need to change this. Leave it at 95% and click on apply. Now, when I click on apply, you'd see that the line definitely changed. It's no longer a straight line. Okay, so this is what? 6 months into the future. So what would happen? Now we are currently in February. The price of Bitcoin in February is 24,611. That's the average close price of Bitcoin. In March, what happens? The forecasted price of Bitcoin in March is 27,900. So it's going to go up in March. And it's going to come down a bit in April, and it starts to drop after that. May, it drops. June, it drops, and it increases again in July, and it drops again in August. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of the session, this is not financial advice. And I'm not saying you should, gamble or trade your money based on what you've seen. But this clearly shows that looking at the price of Bitcoin today at 24,000 and the trajectory and the way the Bitcoin has been moving over the last few weeks, so from last month in January till date, it's likely going to increase again in March, 27,900, almost 28,000. And it drops a little bit from 27,900 to 27,200. And then it starts to decline again in May to 21,000. It goes down in June to 19.8. It moves up to 22 in July and 21,000 in August. Like I said, you can increase the forecast length to as much, as the longer months. You want 10 months, you want 11, and so on and so forth. Now, I told you that when I looked at this, what we did last year, and comparing the price of what was forecasted, surprisingly, it was very close, which was surprising because, of course, anybody would know that to forecast the price of Bitcoin involves so many things, not just micro variables, but also things at the macro level. Elon Musk could send a tweet today and it sends the price of all cryptocurrencies tumbling or spiking. And so there's so many things involved. But we're just looking at the power of Bitcoin. Imagine the power of Power BI, I beg your pardon. You're working in an organization, you want to do demand planning. You want to know what would happen next month, what would happen 3 months down the line, depending on what has happened historically in your organization. Power BI can help you do that, to forecast into the future. The last thing we're going to add is a slicer at this top bar, and then we'll start to wrap up the session. Let's add the slicer. I'll click on the blank space, and then I'll click on what? Slicer. Click on slicer, drag it to the top over here, adjust it as usual. Adjust the slicer to fit that rectangle, just like that. And what do I want to add? I want to add my dates. So I can pick and select dates on my calendar. Click on this and I'll click on my dates to select. Click on the tick box to select my dates. So I can see my dates starting from 1st of March 2018 to 17th of February 2023, 5 years worth of data. Quickly format as usual. I'll take out the white background, click on format over here, go to general, I'll go to effects, and I'll take out the background, turn it off, make my color what? White. So I'll go to visual, values, and I'll change the color to white. Now let's change the dates and see what happens. So it shows from a particular date to a particular date. I can change my dates by moving the sliders. I can slide this to the right, or I can simply just click on the calendar here and I can select any date I want. And this is what makes Power BI fantastic. Okay, so maybe I want to select, I don't want to start from March. I want to start from maybe 2019, January. Click on the 1st of January, 2019. And what happens? Everything here would adjust. Everything on my dashboard would what? Adjust. I can also change my end date by moving this slider or simply clicking inside my calendar and I change the date. So instead of February, maybe I want to move it to December 31st, 2022. Click on that. That would adjust the figures you have on the chart as well. So you'd see what happened based on the dates you have adjusted. And that's also what makes Power BI super amazing. I can put it back to the beginning, just drag the slider back to the beginning, drag it back, and you have your dashboard go back to what it was. Let's add a title. Of course, you can't create all of this without putting a title. So let's put a title to this. Click on the Home tab. Click on Insert. Insert a what? Text box. I don't even need to insert. Let me just copy what I already have here. I'll click on one of my titles here. Click on it. Copy, Control-C, Control-V. I'll drag it to the top. So let's put a title to our dashboard. Let's put a title. Just going to drag this like this. I'll centralize. I'll click on center to center and I'll change this. Let's call it Analytics, Bitcoin, 5-year trend performance. Okay, Bitcoin, there's no G. Analytics, Bitcoin, we can increase the font size from 10. Let's make it 12 or 14. 14 or 12. 12 is fine. Let's make it 12 and it looks like that. Okay. Just going to click outside. So that's what it looks like. That's the title. We can make the title look nicer, but of course, we have just 14 minutes to wrap up our session. I want all of you to go back to create something like this. Okay, I'll quickly wrap up my slides in the next 14 minutes. We are ending the session at 10 p.m. Okay, depending on where you are, we are ending the session at 10 p.m. It's 9:46. In the next 14 minutes, we are wrapping up the session. Please, where and how to add the slicer. You missed that part. The slicer is here. Under visualization, you'd see one of the visual called what? Slicer. Okay, that's it over there. You see my mouse is hovering around it. That's the slicer. Okay, we can't even test the prediction by adjusting. Yes, we can, absolutely. We can even test it, yes. Please recap on where to slide. Okay, I think I've answered that already. So let's quickly go back to the slide to wrap up. Okay, somebody was asking about our program starting. So I'm just quickly going to wrap up. And I talked about something I want to mention. So this is what we created, right? Exactly what we have here. We've just created it on Power BI. So what you see here that looks like magic, that's how you create it. Everybody on this call, 82 of you, can create the same thing. You can create it as well. It's straightforward, straight to the point, and you get a lot of insight from the data that you have. So let's start to wrap up the session. A lot of you want to become data analysts. So the first question you would ask is, why do you even want to know how to handle data in Power BI? Why do you want to know how to make sense of data? Why do you want to know how to extract insights from data? Number one, organizations need your skills. Okay, organizations need your skills. And apart from that, you have great work-life balance and flexibility in doing the work that you want to do. Now, working remotely has been one of the major trends that has shaped the future of work. Since 2020 till date, one of the things you'd like to, put into that negotiation when trying to get a job is, am I going to have the opportunity to work remotely? One of the career paths where this is a no-brainer, it's easy for you to negotiate that. So even if it's not 100% remote, you have the opportunity to work remotely for a substantial part of your work life. So maybe twice in a week, you only have to go to the office, or once in a week, and the rest of the period you work from home. That's one opportunity you get as a data analyst. And of course, the opportunities in terms of availability of jobs, depending on where you are. You're in the UK, you're in the US, you're in Canada, you have that opportunity to get jobs across different countries. Now, people would ask, do you need a degree? If I create something as fantastic as I did, my question is, would you ask me where I studied? Would you want to know where I studied? As long as you give me data, you tell me that, go do this, tell me what you see. Forecast the price of Bitcoin 6 months into the future. And I show you all of this. I don't just forecast, I also show you how the average close and average open price would affect one another, the volume and all of that. I do all of this and present it to you. And you also have the opportunity to make changes looking at different dates. Remember, we forecasted 5 years, down the line. You can do 2 years, you can do 3 years. You can get data for anything across any sector, and you can play around with the data, see how it operates in Power BI. So that's why your skills are absolutely needed. And of course, the salary is sweet. The salary is fantastic as a data analyst. And a lot of the people that has gone through our training program and gotten a job, they go far beyond the average. Average is about 40,000 if you're in the UK. In the US, it's about maybe $65,000 to $70,000. And I'll show you that. But most of the people that have gotten jobs going through our training program, they've all done well above the average. We had somebody who got a job with Cognizant here in the UK, a data analytics consulting company. He started with over £60,000. And this is somebody who knew nothing about data before joining our program. Okay, and all the things he needed to do are the things that part of it is what you've seen here today. How do you handle data in Power BI? How do you get the data? And how do you do amazing stuff with the data that you've gotten? And of course, you also would be at the center of innovation in your organization. Everybody would love to listen to you. They would want to get your opinion because you are giving them from a data-driven point of view, from a data-driven perspective. You're not saying that, oh, Bitcoin is going to increase by this because that's what I think. There are so many things too. There are so many other moving parts, but you would give insight into what is happening in the business from a data-driven point of view. And like I mentioned, the average salary of a data analyst, for example, looking at different locations. In the UK, it's about £40,000 on the average, according to read.co.uk. In the US, it's about $72,000. And in Canada, it's about $64,000 getting started as a data analyst. And this is, like I said, basic. You would get this easily without any hassle. So the question is, what do I need to become a data analyst? I'll quickly run through this. Like I said, I'm closely looking at the time, so we wrap up in good time. I'll quickly run through this. What do you need? I want to get started in data analytics. I want to be a data analyst before the middle of the year. I want to get a job. What do I need to do? How do I need to start? Number one, you ask yourself 5 questions, starting with, do you know how to solve problems? Do you know problem-solving techniques? Can you identify root cause? Can you identify the root cause of a problem? Can you break a problem into smaller parts, solve those smaller parts to solve the entire problem? If your answer is no, you must learn problem-solving techniques. Okay? Once you've learned this, and because that's the objective of every data analyst, is to solve problems. Once you know how to solve problems, you go back and ask yourself the question, do you know how to solve problems? Once you can answer yes, because you've learned all the techniques of problem solving, you go to question number 2, which is, do you know data analytics with Excel? If your answer is no, you must learn Excel. Excel is a super versatile tool. All the things we did today using Power BI, we can do it 100% using Excel. The same way we got the data, the same way we got the data into Power BI, we can do it in Excel as well. The question is how. I can bet that 99% would not know that is possible. You get the link, get the data into Excel, you create those DAX, you write those DAX functions that we did, not Excel functions this time around, DAX, the way it is in Power BI. You can do it exactly how we've done it. Take your data into Power Query, you can do it in Excel. Excel is super versatile. Every day you learn something new in Excel. So the question is, do you know how to use Excel for data analytics? If your answer is no, you must learn Excel for data analytics. Once you've learned Excel and you can answer yes to the question, you move to question number 3. Do you know SQL, structured query language, SQL? Can you interact with databases? Can you get data from databases? If your answer is no, you must. SQL is how will I put it? Is the lifeblood of data analytics. You must know how to use SQL. And this cuts across different, data roles, data engineering, data science, data analytics. You must know SQL. It's compulsory. Once you know how to interact with databases, once you know how to write queries, you know how to get data from a database, you know the queries to write to create a table, to create a database, and you can answer yes to this question, you move to question number 4. Do you know business intelligence? If your answer is no, then you must learn Power BI for business intelligence. We've used Power BI you've seen what Power BI can do. It's a phenomenal tool, fantastic tool. And organizations are looking for people like you that can answer yes to this question. You know how to use Power BI, you know SQL, you know Excel. Once you can answer yes to this, you move to the final question, which is, do you know business intelligence and data storytelling? If your answer is no, then you must learn how to use Tableau for data analytics and business intelligence. So Tableau and Power BI are pretty similar. They can do pretty much the same thing. However, some organizations have a preference towards Tableau. Some would have preference for Power BI. Now, having the two gives you the best of both worlds. You can apply to organizations and jobs that would have a requirement for Power BI or Tableau. Okay, so once you can answer yes to these 5 questions, then you can get a job anywhere in this world as a data analyst. How does the program run? 3 months learning journey, 2 months live classes. So for 2 months, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you are joining classes. You have somebody like myself putting you through concepts, showing you how to do stuff, and you have a 1-month internship. Now, the internship is where you work on projects. You see how to use Power BI, Excel to do amazing stuff. Why is this very important? It's very important because the internship and the projects you work on during the internship are the projects you discuss during an interview. So you're in front of a recruiter, the recruiter wants to employ you. They've given you a data set, they've said you should analyze the data. You've come to present your findings to them. Then they ask you, what have you done before? You said you can use Power BI, you've worked as a data analyst. What have you done? Can I see your portfolio? Oh, sure. This is the link to my portfolio. You send them the link, they have a look at it. I created this Bitcoin predicting the price of Bitcoin. This was how I created it. And you have so many other projects, real life case studies. And during those interviews, you're not going to tell them that, oh, I worked on this project as an assignment or as a task or during training. No, I solved a problem for a client, a real life client, helping them to do X, Y, and Z. And that gives you the opportunity to negotiate better salaries and eventually get that job, because you'll be speaking to them from a point of knowledge, not from a point of what you have seen or what you have watched, but what you have done. And that's what the 1-month internship does. So once you've learned for 2 months, at the end of your classes, you have 2 weeks to work on a capstone project. The capstone project qualifies you for a certificate. Once you are done with the certificate, with the capstone project, you have a certificate, you join the 1-month internship. So irrespective of where you are, if you're in the UK, you are in Africa, the Middle East, we have a time slot for you. And classes hold only on Saturdays. Live classes are on Saturdays. So live classes, if you are in the UK, for example, classes would hold 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're in Nigeria, if you're in Africa, West Africa, classes would start 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right, 3 hours on Saturday, you have a live class where you have your facilitator showing you concepts, real life, face to face. And then on Sundays, you get something we call watch me do it videos. The watch me do it videos are bite-sized videos you get to watch, recorded, showing you concepts, and you can get to practice at your own convenience. Now, if you're joining from the US, from Canada, anywhere in North America, you also have a time that is suitable for you. Same time, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. your time. So take, for example, you're in Nigeria, you would have morning classes, West African time, and then evening classes as well for those in the US or Canada, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's then left to you to choose. Do you want the morning classes? Do you want to join the guys in North America when they're having their own classes? And like I said, classes are only on Saturdays. Saturdays, you have your live classes, and on Sundays, you get watch me do it videos. Okay, now I've talked about the roadmap pretty much. 3 months learning, 2 months project-based live classes, 1 month internship, sessions hold virtually on Zoom, the best analysts across the globe, the best data analysts. I'll show you a clip, a snapshot of the facilitators who will be working with you, including myself. When you join the program, you also get to join a WhatsApp group. I'll quickly show you the WhatsApp class, just very quickly, what people that joined in January, what they've been building recently. So I'll show you their WhatsApp group, all right? So this is the North America group, for example, CSI North America, and you would see the dashboard they've been building in Excel. Okay, within the space of 2 weeks, when you build, we tell you, send it into the WhatsApp group, let people see what you've done. So these are the dashboards people have built in Excel. You see the work they've done. They had a session called Navigating the Job Market. Absolutely fantastic session. And I'll talk about why this is very important. This was held yesterday at around 9 p.m. West African time, navigating the job market. One of the things you also get to do. Now I'll show you, this is North America. For those in Europe, in the UK as well, you'd see their dashboards, you'd see what they've been building, over the space of about 2 to 3 weeks. I'll show you the platform, what it looks like as well. So you have where people collaborate, you create your chart, you create your dashboard, you share it with people, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So this is what people have been doing in the WhatsApp group. All right. See the fantastic dashboard. Okay. Created by a learner in the class. And these are some of the things you would also be doing. Okay, these are some of the things you would also be doing during the program. But let's quickly wrap up the session. Like I said, you're going to join the WhatsApp group where you would be a part of other learners, people that are learning, your contemporaries. You have people to share ideas with. Classes are on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays for the live classes, Sunday for the self-paced watch me do it videos. And last but not the least, how do you ensure that you're job ready? You work on the capstone project for 2 weeks and you have 1 month virtual internship. Remember, your technical skills alone will never get you a job except you're extremely lucky. All right. And why is that so? In an environment or in today's world where you have fantastic, brilliant people that are far better than you are, you're competing for the same roles as those people. So how do you stand out from them? Okay. And that's why I always say the tech is not the best, it's not the most intelligent that will get the job. It's the person who has the right information to do the right things that will eventually get the job. Okay, so do you know enough to get started as a data analyst? And how do you stand out? Which is the second 50%. 50% of the job is the technical skill, which you get in a class. Anybody can get the 50%. The other 50% is how do you navigate your way around the job market? When I was showing the WhatsApp group, you saw a session we had yesterday called Navigating the Job Market. Now, let me tell you why that session is very important to you getting a job. Yesterday's session on navigating the job market, which is number 3 on the list over here, we had somebody who joined our program. His name is Abdul Rashid. If I open up the WhatsApp, you'd see him again. His name is Abdul Rashid. He joined our program, and by the time he was done with the program, he got a job working remotely out of Nigeria for a company in the US. He had 3 offers to work remotely for 3 different companies in the US. And of course, he went with the one that would pay him the highest amount of salary, and he's doing fantastically well. Why was that session very important? You need somebody to actually come and tell you their story of what they've done, how they were able to go through the program, how they were able to get the job, how we helped to review their CVs. That's one of the first things. You review your CV. If you don't have a CV, you have to build a CV that captures your right skills, shows you in the best format on paper. And then you have LinkedIn optimization. All the 3 jobs he got in the US, the 3 companies, he got them on LinkedIn after the LinkedIn optimization. Once you have an optimized LinkedIn profile, you get recruiters all over you, chasing you, looking for you, asking you to interview with them. Because one of the first things we'll tell you to do, those dashboards you have created and sent on the WhatsApp group, you must go to your LinkedIn and post it on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Now, at the end of this session, go on LinkedIn and do a search. Just type Tenalytics, and you'd see thousands of people and the dashboards they built in class. You'd see it on their profile on LinkedIn. And that's where recruiters would come to you to, try to recruit you, try to poach you, try to get you to join the organization, because they can see that you have the skills. Navigating the job market is where you have experts, people that have gone through the same path you would like to go through, show you how to get the job done, show you how to get that job you are looking for, where you need to apply to. 50 different websites were shared yesterday. Websites for remote learning, website to get jobs with startups, websites to get jobs, if you're in the UK, for example, get jobs in organizations in the US, and so on and so forth. It was an absolutely phenomenal session, and you have this almost every week. Once you've done that, of course, we also provide you with recommendations and reference letters that every recruiter would want somebody to stand as a referee for you. Okay, who can refer you, who knows you, who can vouch for you. And you also have the interview preparation session. You've gotten that opportunity. How do you prepare for the interview? That's part of what we also provide for you. And then you have your weekly mentorship sessions every Wednesday evening, where we push you and say, go ahead and apply. You're going to get rejections so many times, and that can dampen your spirits. I'm never going to apply because I only get rejections. You need somebody to tell you that rejections are normal. You need somebody to push you, to encourage you. You also need to understand different concepts. How do I answer questions in interview? How do I use the SEAT approach? How do I use the STAR approach? You have all these sessions Wednesday evening where we walk you through this process. And of course, you have a whole suite of facilitators, absolute phenomenal trainers that would guide you through your journey to becoming a data analyst. You can, Ifemena, the co-founder, myself, I'll be one of your facilitators. Nene, absolutely phenomenal analyst, a commercial analyst here in the UK. You have Teniola working with one of the big fours with Deloitte here in the UK. Absolutely phenomenal people. Like I said, we pride ourselves with the quality of the trainers we bring on board. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on. We have a cohort starting on the 26th of February, next week, Sunday. For the past 3 weeks, we've been having series of sessions and people have been joining the program. As at today, around 12 noon, thereabouts, we have over 150 people join the different classes across all the programs that will be starting. Okay, registrations closes on Wednesday, and we have discounts available. To join the program itself, you have the program fee of £400 if you're paying in pounds, and 320,000 naira if you're paying in naira. And this covers every single thing you'll be doing in the program, from learning the skills itself, those 5 questions, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, every single thing, and the additional sessions to prepare you for the job market. But the discounts we have, just like we have given in all our sessions we've had over the past 2 to 3 weeks, the first 20 people to register for this session, and that's why it was open to people that joined the previous one. For the first 20 people, you get the opportunity of paying £300 instead of 400, and you can split the payment in 2 installments of 200 to get registered, and then £100 1 month into the program. And if you're paying in naira, instead of paying 320,000 naira, you get to pay just 270,000, 180 to get started, and then 90,000 balance 1 month into the program. If you're paying in dollars, $400, 300 to join, to register, 100 1 month into the program. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, 500, 350 to join, 150 1 month into the program. Like I said, the discount is open just for the first 20 people to register from this session. The first 20 people to register from this session. So if you're in this session, for example, you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a cousin, you know somebody who wants to get started in data analytics, but they have been learning forever. They've jumped from YouTube, they've jumped to another platform, they've jumped from that other platform, they've registered for another program, but the transition has been impossible. Do you know why it's impossible? They only have 150% of the equation. The other 50%, where you'll be equipped with the soft skills, you know where to apply to jobs, you know how to get those jobs, you know how to present yourself in the best possible way during interviews. You don't have that 50%, but you have the skills, so nobody would find you, okay? Last year alone in 2022, we helped over 300 people transition from the classroom into getting their first jobs in tech across different areas within the tech ecosystem itself. So if you want to register, all you have to do, depending on where you're joining from, you make the first installment payment. And once you make your payment, all you have to do is send us a WhatsApp message with the proof of payment. You get the link to fill in your details. Once we confirm your payment, you get a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the detail, all the materials you need for the class, for the program itself. How to download Excel, how to download Power BI, how to download the PostgreSQL, which is what you use for your SQL, how to download and install Tableau Public, which you'd use for the Tableau class as well. And then the data set and every single thing you need to start the program, you get in that welcome kit. Program starts on Sunday, the 26th. And if you're paying into the Naira account, if you're paying in Naira, for example, you make the payment to the Fidelity Bank account. You have the details on the screen, and this will be sent to everybody, including the recording of this session. And if you're paying in pounds, you pay to our UK account. You have the details on the screen as well. So what you can do is to take a screenshot. So before you get the email containing the recording, containing the slides and all the materials for today, you want to join the program, you want to be part of the first 20 to take advantage of the discount, you have all the details that you need. Like I said, if you're paying in Naira is 270, that's the discounted fee. If you're paying in pounds, it's £300, that's the discounted fee. If you're paying in 400, if you're paying in dollars, it's $400. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, it's 500 Canadian dollars. And you make the payments in 2 installments. You have that on the screen as well. And of course, if you're paying in dollars, you have the details on the screen. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, you also have the details on the screen. Registration closes on Wednesday. So now, if the first 20 people take advantage of the discounts and the discount slots are gone, and you want to make the full payment on Wednesday, we shut off all registrations ahead of the class starting on the 26th on Sunday. All right. So you want to join the program. You've always wanted to start it. You've always wanted to get started as a data analyst, but you don't know how to start. You need somebody to guide you. This is the program for you. Okay. Because of time, I'm not sure I'll be able to take questions because I'm sure you also want to, retire for the evening, go get some rest and so on and so forth. If you have questions, you want to have a one-on-one with me, for example, there are things you'd like to ask. Oh, I'm currently doing this. I don't know how to transition. You want to have a one-on-one. We can schedule that for you. All right. All you have to do is send a message in your WhatsApp groups, send it to any of the admin, telling them that you want a one-on-one session, and they'll schedule you for a one-on-one session. Okay. So like I said, you want to take advantage of the discount, go ahead, take advantage of the discount and register for the program. We're going to call it wrapped at this point, but what I want you to do is create your own dashboard. Create yours. Once you create it as something you've learned, if you've not learned anything in data analytics, you've not done anything in Power BI before, take a screenshot, post it on LinkedIn, and tag myself and tag Tenalytics. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I hope you've learned something today. And like I always say in any session we hold, yes, you might be thinking, I'm not sure I want to get started now, or maybe I want to start later in the future. Whenever you decide to start, you know that you have the right learning partners that would hold your hand and guide you through that journey from when you start to becoming a data analyst, not on paper, a data analyst that will get a job and work as an analyst in the best of the best organizations across the globe. Take out time on Saturday, take out time on Sunday, build your own dashboard, get your data from Yahoo Finance, download and install Power BI. When you build your dashboard, take a screenshot, post it on LinkedIn, and just tag me, tag Tenalytics. I'll be very happy to see that. The next cohort starts on the 26th. If you know somebody that would also love to be a part of this, that would love to get started in data analytics in 2023, you've always wanted to do that last year, for example, you couldn't because of time, because of money, because of one thing or the other, this is the next best time to start. Thank you very much. I would like to say a big thank you to everybody that has joined the session today. I hope you've learned at least one thing, knowing the next 6 months, the forecast of the price of Bitcoin. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for joining the session today. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. I look forward to seeing you join the program. If you want to have a one-on-one, like I said, just send a message to the WhatsApp group. I'll be very happy to have a session with you. Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead. Cheers.